you something that you may see in level 3. So in these examples, you can see that there are a lot more numbers involved. You're going to do a lot more steps, but you already know how to do each individual step. You've already proved that in the level 1 and 2 examples. Now you just need to combine them together in one problem. So if you need to, I recommend that you write down your steps. Okay? Distributive, combine like terms, variable. Remember, this is where you'll be crossing the equal sign. Numbers, and solve. So ask yourself, do I need to do distributive property? Well, you look for the parentheses, and you have 2 sets of parentheses in this example. So you're going to do distributive property twice. You're going to multiply here, and you're going to multiply here. Remember, it's multiplication. You're not adding these numbers, you're multiplying. So I'm going to copy down this 4x. It's not part of my distributive. Then I'm going to multiply negative 10 times negative x. And I'm going to get plus 10x. A negative times a negative is going to give me a positive. Then I'm going to multiply negative 10 times negative 1. And again, I'm going to get a positive. I carry down my equal sign. And then I'm going to multiply 6 times x, get 6x, 6 times negative 2, and get negative 12. Now, our next step, so we have finished our distributive. So our next step is combine like terms. Remember, when you're combining like terms, you're going to look either on the left side of the equal sign or the right side. So when I'm looking at the left side of the equal sign, what are my like terms? Well, I have a 4x and a 10x. I cannot combine that 10 with a variable, okay? Then what you do is now I'm going to look on the right side of the equal sign. Just the right side. And no, oops, I accidentally erased my 6 when I was doing that. Sorry about that. And no, I don't have any like terms. All right, so let's combine our like terms. 4x plus 10x is going to give me 14x. Then I'm just going to carry everything else down. Plus 10 equals 16x minus 12. All right, so I finished my combine like term step. So now I'm going to move on to the variable. And that equal sign that I list with the variable tells me at this point I'm going to move terms across the equal sign. In other words, I may move a right term to the left or I may move a left term to the right. So ask yourself this question. Do I have a variable on both sides? Put a blue circle here. And I'm going to use purple on the variable step. And yes, I do. Because I have a variable here and I have a variable here. So I'm going to move the variable with the smallest coefficient, which would be 6x. The number in front of the x is smaller. So I'm going to do inverse operations. So right now it's plus 6x. So I'm going to minus 6x from both sides. It cancels on this side. And I'm left with 8x plus 10 equals negative 12. So by the third step, our equation is looking a lot simpler. And now I'm going to get myself to the number step here, which means I'm going to get rid of my constant, this plus 10, using inverse operations. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. On the left side, it's going to cancel, and I'm left with 8x equals negative 22. All right, so I'm going to write it up here again for us. 8x equals negative 22. So on my last step, I'm going to solve. So I'm going to solve using this green right here. All right? So which means I'm going to get rid of my coefficient, which is the number in front of the x. When you write it like that, 8x, that means 8 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Okay? This goes away, and x equals negative 22 over 8. Now, it doesn't come out evenly, does it? 8 doesn't go into 22 evenly. That's okay. You could end up with a fraction for your answer. But you need to ask yourself, is this the simplest fraction? Is this a simplified fraction? And it isn't. Both of those numbers can be divided by 2, which leaves us with x equals negative 11 over 4. If you struggle with simplifying fractions, you can always take your calculator, plug in negative 22 divided by 8. It's going to give you a decimal. And if you want that your calculator to force it back into simplified fraction, right above your enter key on your calculator, so on the right side of your calculator at the very bottom, you're going to see your enter key. Right above it, there's a key that looks like 2 little arrows on either side. Push it. It's going to force your calculator to turn it back into negative 11 over 4. On your test, I love it when you square your answers. It makes it so much easier for me to find them. So make that part of your steps.